Welcome to Conversations with the ERC5. My name is Grace Speroni, and I am so delighted to have with me today Cindy Sheridan Murphy. Cindy, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you.
You are just so incredible and such an inspiration, and I am delighted that you are here with us today. And before we talk about each moment we're alive, can we talk about the journey that led you to establishing this organization?
Yeah. So I think like a lot of nonprofits, a lot of people start with their journey. So my journey started back in 2009 with my first diagnosis of breast cancer. The doctors did the 2 lumpectomies. They told me I was good. No chemo, no radiation. I went back to that hustle bustle life, like up at the crack of dawn, get the kids to school, go. Well, 4.5 years later, I got a big awakening when it came back the size of an orange. I woke up overnight and it was like, what is this? So with that, it turned into a lot more serious triple negative breast cancer, which means there's just the way it has grown is there's no hormonal treatment for it. So it was a very aggressive chemo, mastectomy, radiation, quite a few surgeries later. And, that's really kind of how I started with the cancer. And I remember during the treatment saying to myself, it's like, okay, God, I'm listening. What is it I should be doing? And that's when I really was serious about being an advocate for others going through to pay attention to their bodies, to themselves, to any signals that might be going on.
And you walked it. You traveled that journey.
Yeah.
And that's what's so inspiration when these things happen to individuals and they take that breath to say, so help me, dear Lord, what is it that you want me to do? And how can I help others so that the journey will be lighter for them?
Yeah, it was really remarkable. And right a half mile from my home was a cancer House of Hope. So I went over there and I, started really partaking in the groups, but there was only maybe 1 to 3 of us there, if that many. And one day the woman got a new job. She was leaving. And I said to her, well, what are we going to do? There was new people coming in. And she said, you're a life coach. You're a survivor. Take over. And I was like, all right,
here's my calling.
So that's really how it began. I went to another cancer organization, learned the ins and outs, the ropes, the logistics. And I started facilitating at the cancer house with their breast cancer group. Then I had women coming to me with other types of cancer saying like, but I want to come to your group. I don't want to go to the all cancer group because it's men and women. I want to talk to other women. So we started a women's cancer support group. And that's really kind of how it rolled. But then I found even another challenge is that when my treatments ended, so did the support. And I found myself doing, what do I do now? I have lymphedema, which is swelling in the arm, and I'm a dental hygienist. I can't work as a hygienist. And, the doctors have done their job and they said, go live your life. And you're thinking, what am I going to do at 40-something years old and not be able to work?
Right.
So I created a program, a survivorship program. I said, there's got to be other people like me. And a doctor friend of mine challenged me to start this group. So I did. It was an 8-week group. I put flyers out at the cancer house. I had 10 women join me in a yoga studio. We sat around week after week for the 8 weeks talking about the vulnerabilities, the values, the vision. And we found that we all had that same denominator of fear of reoccurrence, fear of tomorrow, fear of doctors, fear of anxiety of everything.
Well, and, in speaking with you, what I just found so touching, and I'm so grateful that you are doing this, is that I haven't had a diagnosis, so I'm just speaking from others' experience, but you get a diagnosis, right? And then you have that group that cares for you. So you have the nurses and the support team, and everyone's there, and you're such a close-knit family. As I said to you, my daughter works at one of the cancer centers, and it's amazing how tight knit they are. But then, yay, you get that, you're cancer free. Now go and live your best life. But it's not just picking up and walking out the door. You've had experiences that have changed your life forever. And now how do you navigate this new body and all the experiences that you've, have gone through? So it's fantastic that you're here and you see the need for that.
It's huge. It's really huge because, as many of us say, we're like that square peg trying to fit into that round hole. You really can't fit back into that life you are in. You were pulled out, and in the groups, I'll tell them, like, that ship has sailed. It's gone. It's never coming back. So how are you going to move forward? And that's really where we find the survivorship programs are needed, where it's wonderful. We have increase of survivorship rates, but we don't have an increase in survivorship programs to meet that demand. And that's where a lot of the mental health issues and the anxiety is coming into play, is because we're not meeting people. We're just sending them out to the world and saying, go play nice.
You're cancer free. You're good.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like that.
True.
What are some of the programs that you offer to help folks get back on the journey of life, but only in a new way, with a new perspective?
Yeah, so we have weekly Zoom calls. So we have every Tuesday night, 6 to 7:30, and that's people from the beginning of their stages to those that are done and want to now give back. So it's really a nice support group, because a lot of the people that come into the group, and I specifically work with more the women, I refer the men and children to other groups, but with them, what they find is that their families are done talking to them about it. They've even had the statements of like, okay, get over it. Yeah. And they're like, that's great to say, my hair's gone back, but I'm not over it. So we talk about those issues. They can address them. There's a lot of work balance things that go on, especially with women, trying to balance that. And it's like that emotional pain, and they're not feeling well, but their family wants them to do this. They don't want to hear it anymore. So they can come to the groups and vent, really, and get peer support. Because everybody in there is either a cancer survivor, or we have licensed clinical social workers also in the group, just if we need them. But just to see what's going on. And it's really like that support of, you can ask questions and no questions silly. And also we honor each other's decisions. If someone's decided not to have this surgery, not to take this medicine, we honor them where they're at. So there's no judgment. So you're not going to get that, like, I don't care that you don't feel good. You have to take this.
And everyone's journey
is so different.
It's different, and it can... There's so many factors. I have a family member who's going through it, and it's been a 10-year journey, and she's cancer free, but then it comes back, and then and each time she has to adapt. And first it's like, I'll take all the treatments, but then it's like, I don't think I can. And I'm listening to her and I'm thinking, what do you mean you can't? You want to take them all, but it's not a one fit.
Yes.
For everyone.
And that's what we talk about. We could have 20 women on the call and have 15 different types of cancer. And people, like, they'll bring, like, breast cancer does get a lot of recognition now.
Yes.
But you think there's probably over 70 types of breast cancer that we don't realize. You have your lung, you have lung cancer. But breast, you've got invasive and non-invasive. And
you're
you've got
right.
ductal.
There's so many different types.
types.
You never think about that until... somebody will say, oh, I have stage 1, then I'm calling my daughter. I'm like, so what does that mean? Because you're right. We don't fully comprehend the different levels.
Yeah, they have classes, they have stages, they have 3 different hormones. You do 3 times 4 times 4 times 3. You've got a lot of combinations.
Yeah, and those treatments are grueling. They take a toll on you. And you said, for instance, you were a dental hygienist. And so now you're cancer-free, right? And you've been said go out, live your
Yes.
best life, as you said. But you can't function
Yes.
and do what you used to do.
Yes.
So now what?
And that's what it is. So what do? They put you on disability. And I'm thinking, I don't want to be on disability. And fortunately, I had a close friend of mine who really worked with me and said, okay, we're going to work and get you off of it within 2 years. And we did. And I was able to get it back, the physical therapy, working it and doing things. But in that time, I was already doing the support groups. So I started going through more. And as we did the survivorship programs, there was no funding for it at the local cancer organization. So that's what made us branch off into Each Moment We're Alive and our own, so that I kept it with a 501c3 nonprofit because we didn't want to charge survivors for services because they have so many other bills paying, especially being a lot of women, they wouldn't take the time to pay for themselves. So by keeping it, a nonprofit, we kept our services free, but that goes to relying on funding and fundraisers and grants and donations. It's a whole other ball. COVID hits, and then we have a whole other circumstance. But it pushed me to really start Each Moment We're Alive. So I'm grateful that it kind of catapulted me to say, you've got to do this.
Well, I'm grateful for what you are doing because that is so important.
Well, thank you.
It's critical. And again, as an outsider, it's very hard to fully understand everything. But as you see folks go through this, it is so challenging. And to your point, you've taken time off from work probably to battle this disease. And now to have another added expense, the fact that you're there to provide these services and say, don't worry, I'm going to help you on this journey and get you back to where you want to go.
And it's rewarding,
over.
And hearing from the women. We've helped hundreds and hundreds of people in the last 5 years that we've been a nonprofit. So it is rewarding when you hear what's going on and where they're at in their life.
Well, this is a beautiful organization, and I'm so grateful that you were able to be here with us today.
Yeah.
But you did say this is a nonprofit.
Yes.
And you're here to support these people, and you're not charging them. So how can individuals, businesses, organizations out there who this resonates for them, how can they get in touch with you? How can they support you? What can we do from here?
Well, thank you, because that is critical. And I know going to network events, everyone's got a business, but we're a little bit different. So we do have our website, eachmomentwe'realive.org. We have things from donations. We have our annual fundraiser coming up in June. We also have an employee benefit packages that we work with the employers of helping their employees, because we're finding that more and more employees are leaving their jobs, and it's not because of the cancer, but it's because of lack of support. So on our website, we have all different ways to be able to support us. And then the support that we get, the grants, the donations, helps us to keep our funding going. And we hope to keep it going for years to come.
I certainly hope so. Thank you so much, Cindy, for joining us today. This was such a pleasure. And we always wish we had more time.
Yes.
But what I can tell our audience is that they can visit our website as well. And any events that you have coming up will be posted on our event calendar.
Wonderful.
So there's lots of opportunities for folks to get in touch with you and help you to grow this wonderful organization.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity.
It was a pleasure. And thank you for joining us today for Conversations with the ERC5. If you'd like to be the next guest here at Stonegate Studios in Wilbraham, go to our website, erc5.com, and you can sign up there.